Pain. I've been there, locked up inside my head, broken from fear, illusions, disappointment, and hopelessness. Who heard me and myself?
A technicality issue. We are back live again in the house, and we're gonna finish this conversation. Maybe it was a copyright issue. So I got to be very careful. But we're going to get back into the conversation, guys. And we were talking about Deion. We were talking about black people and self-preservation. And also we were talking about the need to add and give back to a community if you want black men to come to you and serve. I told you guys, as I said earlier, Deion Sanders is SYSBM. And some of you men need to be SYSBM, because if you don't, then you will become a slave of the ignorance to the things of the past. I'm going to continue to play parts of that clip, but I got to be careful. I won't play that anymore. I'll just play a portion of it. It won't be the same clip, and I'm just going to break it down. Hold tight, guys. Speed this thing up a little bit. All right, we'll start here. No copyright strikes.
A week, they got new helmets. They got new unis.
So
he did this with Walmart. He took 150.
So here's the evidence, guys, for Deion Sanders. Is Deion Sanders a traitor? And why is the black community all we so divided? Here's the evidence. You guys tell me what you think. In a few minutes, I'm going to drop the link. I would love to hear what some of you men and women are thinking, but more or less the brothers that say that Deion is a traitor, give your evidence against the evidence that I got. Because as I told you guys before in the past, and in the earlier part of the show, this is the part of the show, guys, where we explore the evidence. Down the rabbit hole we go.
Down the rabbit hole we go. This is the part of the show where we assess, examine, collaborate.
All right, so this is Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp from Undisputed. And Shannon Sharp has given the evidence for why Deion Sanders should have left Jackson State. I want those that are contrary to come on at some point and give your feedback as well.
And so the LeBron that are black African-American people that said, JB, Deion went out and asked people of the LeBron statures and these type of guys in the business that are black African-American people that are billionaires. Hey, man, it ain't going to be another figurehead like me as a black coach coaching black men. There's not going to be another one of me. This is your time to.
And Jason Whitlock talked about it. They had a chance to support Deion. They had a chance to put Deion in a higher conversation, but they didn't do it. Some of your main dignitaries did not support Deion Sanders. They didn't give him the money so that he could have remained at Jackson State and built the dynasty. But they want to complain and talk about it. They want Deion Sanders to eat out of the trash can instead of eating from the table as a great king he is. Now, this is Umar Johnson. Umar Johnson, with some of that slow tip theology, and you know he got that Leo swag too. But here's Umar Johnson and his diatribe, and I think Umar Johnson is foolish for this. I like Umar in some points, but I think Umar got this wrong because Umar is so transfixed on that slow tip ideology.
Way more athletic than Tom Brady. But let me give you my assessment of Coach Prime. I respect him as a black man. I respect his accomplishments. Me and Charlemagne went back and forth over Deion today. You're going to see this when you watch the Black Breakfast Club interview. Charlemagne and Dr. Umar, respectfully, we went back and forth over this. Charlemagne is my brother. But we disagreed vehemently over Deion Sanders' decision. When Colin Kaepernick took a knee in 2016, I saw and heard Deion Sanders say out of his own mouth that Colin Kaepernick was wrong. I saw and heard Deion Sanders say Colin Kaepernick was wrong for taking a knee. Charlemagne said he didn't say it. Yes, he did. On national TV.
But see, what people don't understand, like Umar is pro-black, but it appears he don't understand woke politics. Colin Kaepernick was actually bound part of that woke politics, that BLM stuff, the Black Lives Matters. And if you guys know anything about BLM, it's part of a social Marxist organization. It's not part of a level of collectivism that can help black folks become better. But Umar is not looking at the big picture. Just like when he went on with Cynthia G and those other chicks, he didn't understand the power of wokeism. He associate woke queens with black collectivism and male empowerment. You can't do both. Because Jesus said you can't take new wine and put it in the old wineskin. Shout out to my man, Passport OG. He said that Umar going to ask for a donation. Umar asked for a donation at the end. Shout out to my man, Kevin C. I think that's 75 is Honduran money. He said Prime elevated JSU over 20 plus different ways. Right. Sponsors, contracts, millions of dollars, exposure, etc. People are being very ungrateful. I totally agree with you 1,000,000%, Kevin C. And that's the pathology that we have in this current community where we are entitled. Many of these folks are entitled, and some of it's coming from fatherlessness and the projection of their pain based on their own traumas, but also just based on their own selfishness and also ignorance. Thank you, brother, for that 5. Thank you, Kevin C. Thank you, sir.
He was in a roundtable discussion about the protest, and he said Colin Kaepernick was wrong. I wrote it down. I remember. I put him in the Django prison for that. I put Deion Sanders in the Django prison for not standing with Colin Kaepernick. Yes, I did. Deion Sanders lost stripes for me when he didn't stand with Colin Kaepernick. Then, when I heard he took the Jackson State job, I've spoken at Jackson State before. Shout out to the Jackson State students. And if you are on the Jackson State football team, please text me and answer me one question. I'm talking to the football players of Jackson State. I'm talking to the football players of Jackson State, Mississippi. If you are a member of the football team of Jackson State University in Mississippi, please text message Dr. Umar or send me a voicemail or send me an email or send me an inbox. I'm talking to the football players of HBCU Jackson State University.
And I agree with you, Danny Harrison. He said that Umar ever built that school. So Umar, did you not say you were going to build that school almost 10 years ago? Did you ever give those people their money back? But see, that sounds very hypocritical, Umar. You're more focused on what Deion Sanders should be doing because you believe in a concept and a condition called static blackness. But what have you done? And you know, I respect Umar, some of his points and positions. I respect Umar, some of his points. So if he's listening, which I'm sure he's not, I do respect some of his points and positions. But what have you done about that school that you've been saying you were going to build for the last 10 years? Until you can have that conversation, show receipts, I think it would be very hypocritical to ask Deion Sanders to go back to Jackson State when Deion Sanders' life was at risk or also in danger.
University. Did Deion Sanders tell you guys up front when he took the job? Charlemagne and I disagreed on this today during the Breakfast Club interview. My brother Charlemagne and I disagreed on this today during the Breakfast Club interview. My question to the Jackson State University football players, did Coach Prime tell you guys 3 years ago that if a white college offers me a job, I will leave you immediately? Did he tell y'all that? I'm going to ask the question again. My cell number, you can text me, 215-989-9858. 215-989-9858. 215-989-9858. Did Deion Sanders tell the players of Jackson State that as soon as a Division I white school offers me a job, I'm leaving? Did he tell you that? Because according to what I saw him say, according to what I heard him say, he said he would consider or entertain. He would consider or entertain. He did not say he would be jumping up and running to the white school the minute they offered him a bag. He did not say he would be abandoning Jackson State after 3 years. Now let me continue. It's okay for us to disagree. My standard is different from your standard. It's okay for us to disagree. My standard is different from your standard. You have a selfish, follow the money, me over the people standard. Let me say it again. We can disagree. Many of you Negro beings watching this have a...
And that's where Umar sounds very ignorant. Because you've been damn selfish. You've asked for several donations and you have not produced anything. But see, here's the difference, Umar, with you and Deion. And I respect Umar and some of his points of view, but we're going to disagree on this one. What have you produced? You so damn down for black men coming back and giving back to a community. But it's safe to say you don't understand, Umar, how power works. Frederick Douglass, the one you said you were descendant of, said that power never conceded to anything without a struggle. It never have it and never will. What is the world willing to concede to give to Deion Sanders? You just heard them say that the black elites didn't give him any money to stay at Jackson State. So were they not selfish? Umar Johnson, did you give Deion Sanders any money from the school? The millions of dollars that black parishioners gave, did you, donors gave, did you give Deion Sanders in his school? Did you damn donate? Did you put your money where your mouth is and said, I'm going to give you $20,000 of my money to stay at Jackson State? But see, this static blackness is based on tokenism. It's a false presumption that all black people think the same, which is, it's a thinking error. It's a thinking error to say the least. Umar Johnson could have gave Deion Sanders some money, but he didn't. Neither did LeBron, neither did Jay-Z, neither did P. Diddy, neither did Oprah. None of them gave Deion Sanders any money because they don't care. They want the token symbol of blackness, but they don't want to put it into the black money pot. Until you put into the black money pot, until you reinvest in what you want to be great and successful, shut your trap. Like the old folks say, shut your pie hole up. Because you're talking more than you're actually doing. Let your money talk. A lot of folks complain and talk about whatever, but we don't support stuff that we need to support. You can't complain if you don't support it. Just like black male content, you got to support it. You support it with your time, you support it with sharing, you support it. But they didn't support Deion Sanders. They didn't give him any money. But then, Umar, you want to call another brother out. because he does not meet your philosophical criteria. Because what Umar believes in is a philosophical criteria, which in essence is based on what I call static blackness. And static blackness is a philosophy based on subjective reasoning, based on the faulty notion that all black folks, because they are black, should think alike and be down with the cause. And black folks don't think that way. Black folks are not monolithic. They never were monolithic. They were forced to be monolithic in part when it came to America, but they were never 100% monolithic. Shout out to my man Kevin C. again for the Honduran 6. He said people with the most criticism have done the least. Yes, sir, I agree with you 1,000%. Right. Like them Hyenas, they were complaining and crying and defacing property. You guys can see it at some point. Where were they at? But see, we don't talk about that, guys, because, see, we have a condition in the black community, and I've talked about it many times as a licensed therapist, but it's called cognitive All right, hold tight. Let's get back into it. Hold tight.
Selfish, follow the money, it's me over the movement mentality. That's who you are. That's who Deion is. I understand that Negro mentality, but I don't endorse it, and I'm not going to co-sign it. And I'm going to explain to you why Deion Sanders' decision was not good for Black America. I'm going to explain it to you. Charlemagne talked about how he has helped children. Kudos to him. Charlemagne talked about he gave up some of his salary. Kudos to him. Charlemagne talked about how he helped Jackson State get some athletic contracts, all of which will be taken back after he's gone. Now that he's gone, they're going to lose all those contracts now that he's gone. He took care of Jackson State while he needed Jackson State. I'm going to say it again. Deion took care of Jackson State while he needed Jackson State. Let me say it one more time. Deion took care of Jackson State while he needed Jackson State. I applaud the good things Deion Sanders has done in his community. I applaud the good things Deion Sanders has done in his community. And I know most of you black men were raised in a house where religion was more important than your race. So I understand why money is more important than you, than saving your people. I get it, niggas. I understand. You and me are different. That's okay. I understand your selfishness. I understand your pursuit of money. See, this is why we are not the generation that should receive reparations. This is why we are not the generation that should receive reparations. This is why Black America's addiction to money far outweighs our loyalty to community. Black America's addiction to money far outweighs our loyalty to community. Every culture is after power. We are after dollars. Every other culture is after power. We are after the dollar. Every other people are in.
But see, Umar asks if he's the only spokesperson for black people. You're not the only spokesperson for black people. You're not the talented 10 or one of the talented 10. You know, you're a bright brother in your own right, but you don't speak for all black people. You don't speak for the collective consciousness of black people, and neither do I. I can add to the conversation just like you can add to the conversation, but you don't speak for all black people, Umar, sadly. But, you know, I would say, Umar, you need to look at your own issues before you cast aspersions to Deion Sanders. The good books say, the gospel say, before you judge another man, look at yourself, lest you be a hypocrite. And it sounds very hypocritical to me. Shout out to my man, MC Recovery and Wellness. He said, Deion have to think clearly on protecting his family and peace. Right. A black cloud over your head because of envy will break and will mess up your health and sleep 1,000%. Right. You're right. You're 1,000% right, MC Recovery and Wellness. We lost several people this year. Kevin Samuels died. And then we lost Alan Roger Curran here recently. So you mean to tell you want Deion to damn go and risk his health? He just had his toes amputated. He just had a major staph infection. He got robbed 3 times. They didn't pay him all the money he was supposed to get paid. But y'all, you just want Deion Sanders to be a token Negro for the cause. But yet Umar has not given back anything. Neither has some of the black elites given anything. You need to call out Oprah, Jay-Z, P. Diddy, and all those before you call out Deion Sanders. Because, Umar, you have cognitive dissonance as well. And I stand on that. Gregory Scotland said that, see, it's never enough what a black man does. Right. You give him $1 and then you're going to turn around and give him 2. I agree with you 1,000%. Coach Cab said that, East Coast Cab said, Umar, coach at your school. Right, Coach East Coast Cab. Where's the school that Deion was talking about? Umar was talking about building. There is no school. We haven't seen that school yet coming to fruition. But yet you're judging Deion Sanders. You're judging Deion Sanders, but there is no tangible school to appease the masses. Make it make sense. And the hypocrisy continues. Yeah, Passport OG said this is worse than what I thought it was. Right. Gregory Scholar said black women were pushing this and it seems more apparent. I agree with you 1,000%. Hold tight, guys. We're going to finish listening to it. Hold tight. To the Pan-African Prince.
Of power, and we are in pursuit of the unholy dollar. Every other group is in pursuit of power. We are in.
But Umar, you are a hypocrite because Umar, you were in pursuit of the almighty dollar. Umar, you constantly ask for donations. Umar, you ask for millions and thousands of dollars, but you never deliver. You have not yet to deliver on the school that you said you were going to deliver on. Sounds very hypocritical to me, but you know, people that have narcissistic traits cannot see outside of themselves.
Pursuit of the unholy dollar. The reason Deion's decision was so tragic for me. The reason Deion's decision is unforgivable for me is due to the fact, first you get money, then you get power. That is not correct. I can tell you've been politically uneducated. I can tell you've been politically uneducated. Look at all the basketball players we got, scared to speak up. Look at all the football players we got, scared to speak up. Did you see Dak Prescott when he was asked about Jerry Jones? Did you see Dak Prescott when he was asked about Jerry Jones? Did you see Dak Prescott shivering in his boots like he was butt naked outside in the snow? Dak Prescott was so scared of saying the wrong thing about old Krusty. Dak Prescott was so scared about saying the wrong thing about old Krusty. Dak Prescott was so scared about saying the wrong thing about old Krusty, he couldn't even answer the question. Dak Prescott, I haven't processed. I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to say nothing against I'm biracial, so I can be on Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott, I like you, bro. I'm a Dak Prescott fan. Don't you ever again in your life bring up your biracialism. Dak Prescott, I'm talking to you, quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. Don't you ever again in your life bring up the fact that you are biracial and use that as an excuse for why you can't hold a racist accountable for preventing the school desegregation so our children can get an education. Dak Prescott, you was wrong for that, bro. Dak Prescott, you was wrong. You had no business bringing up your biraciality. You had no business, Dak Prescott, bringing up your biraciality as an excuse for why you couldn't hold Jerry Jones accountable for his role in preventing school desegregation in Arkansas. Come on, Dak Prescott. Come on. I saw nothing but fear. So you Negroes who think money equal power, you really think money equal power? Really? Show me where. Show me. I'm looking for that. Show me with Oprah Winfrey. I'm looking for that. Show me with Tyler Perry. I'm looking for that. Show me with Bob Johnson. I'm looking for that. Show me with Puffy Combs. I'm looking for that. Show me where money equals power in Black America. Because every Negro we know with a lot of money has a lot of fear. Every Negro we know with big bucks is a big power. So money don't equal power to 30 Negroes. And this is why they're going to use our reparations narrative against us. This is why they're going to use our own reparations narrative against us.
And you're right, Kevin C. Kevin C. said that Black men are paying attention to the disrespect. Blacks are dismissing Coach Sanders' hard work, sacrifice, and working their best or better men to death with no compensation or appreciation right. That's the commodification of subjugation. Many times we see it from our women, and also we see it from some of these Hotep simps. Umar wants Deion to stay for the sake of the community, but the community is draining Deion. I totally agree. Hold tight.
This is why they're going to use our own reparations narrative against us. A cash payout for systemic dehumanization, systemic genocide, and all you want is money. You have lost your mind. We're going to talk about that California $224,000 plan in a minute. We're going to talk about that California $224,000 plan in a minute. We're going to talk about that California reparations trap. We're going to talk about that California reparations trap. We're going to talk about that $224,000 California reparations trap. But stay with me. I got 2 minutes on Instagram. I'm going to restart. In order for you to fully understand why Deion Sanders' decision was so tragic and reprehensible, in order for you to understand why Deion Sanders' decision to abandon a black school for 98.5% white University of Colorado, he's leaving a predominantly black college for a 98.5% white university. The University of Colorado has 1.6% black students. That's all the athletes. That's all the snow bunny loving athletes. That's all the snow bunny loving athletes. And then on top of that, he taken the best players with him from Jackson State. So not only is Deion leaving Jackson State, he took the best players with him, and you Negroes are trying to tell me that that was not an act of betrayal. Let me ask you a question. If you are fighting a war, I gave Deion 50,000 lashes on the Breakfast Club today. I gave Deion.
Remember when Deion Sanders first got there and they stole the man?
Now, you...
Hold tight, guys. Let me show you guys
Oh
something.
my God. Oh my God.
Yeah. Credit cards, wallet. Everything are pissed off right now because they had mixed emotions. We won. The kids played really well. While the game was going on, somebody came in and stole every darn thing I had in my locker room.
Oh
the
my
coach's
God.
office.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Credit cards, wallet, watches.
You can't trust those Mississippi.
So they stole everything that Deion had, credit cards, watches, and all the his other paraphernalia. On top of that, someone also broke into a young man got killed on Jackson State's campus. But see, guys, they don't talk about that. Deion Sanders, I think, was robbed at gunpoint. His son locker room was broken into. A son truck and car was robbed several times. But see, Umar, being a doctor, will understand that you can't have a community without having the proper systems in place. But see, what slow steps do, they're so preoccupied with the idea of blackness instead of understanding the nuances of blackness is causing the issues that we have in our current community. Slow steps can't see that because they have a fixation on static blackness. And on top of that, these girls turned around and defaced the mural at Jackson State from Deion Sanders. Watch this. And this is what happens when you don't have a community of strong men and strong fathers. Watch this.
What is the police gonna do? He got permission. I got permission to do this shit.
So they show their love, guys, to Deion Sanders by defacing the property at Jackson State. They showed their love by defacing the property at Jackson State. But you want Deion Sanders to damn come back and talk about, oh, go and serve Jackson State. You know, do it for the community. And when you do it for the community, every time you do it for the community, you'll be a shell of yourself. As a former teacher, I've been through it. Working in law enforcement, I've been through it. And also being a therapist. The community wants you to be the black messiah, but they don't ever turn back and reinvest in you. And I'm not mad at Deion Sanders for taking his talents elsewhere. You're going to take care of the people that you say that you love. You can't damn sit up and complain and don't take care of the people. But they defaced the property at Jackson State and defaced Deion Sanders' mural, a man that gave Jackson State guys more than Jackson State gave Deion Sanders.
Fuck you.
Now, you can hear they're not very happy about it, right? They are not very happy about that. But the people did go to try to deface this thing, and eventually they just said, let's just wipe the entire thing off. Let's just clean the entire thing off since people are defacing it anyway. And you can see the people at Jackson State aren't super happy. Let's let it play a little more. You can hear the commentary.
Yo, damn, how many trends go with you fuck Colorado niggas? Fuck all this shit. You got to go.
And guys, I think a lot of that is classic projection. A lot of it's displaced aggression. A lot of it is the negative internalization of pain and trauma from the past. But you know, it's transference in the clinical world where someone reminds you of somebody in your life and you transfer that pain to somebody else. This is what we call in the clinical world, guys, transference. And this is what happened to Deion Sanders, sadly.
Everybody got time. Deion, it's your time. Oh.
so you can hear some of the onlookers, some of the people talking about it, not super happy about the fact that Deion left. And let's be real. Let's be real. Of course, they're going to be upset. At the same time, Deion Sanders did more for Jackson State University than anyone has ever done for that school.
And you know, it's sad that a white man can see it, but Mr. Slowtep, Umar Johnson, can't see it because he's so damn fixated on this static blackness. If you look at many of these slow taps, they haven't added anything. They haven't added policies. They haven't added anything of substance that can add to the conversation of a greater black community. But we're not one because our women don't respect us as men. We got women that don't respect men that make $75,000 a year. My dad was a blue-collar worker. He worked at a paper mill in Eastern North Carolina. There are many men that work their asses off. They're white-collar guys. They're professional truck drivers. But you got these entitled women that say that that's not enough. But they don't even have a modicum of what women of the past had. Many of them been, you know, like y'all say, ran through. Kids by multiple men. Not feminine. Ignorant. Masculine. But you want a man to damn kiss your behind. You want Deion Sanders to give his best. And the same fools shaming Deion Sanders, I promise you, they won't go back into the black community and do what they expected Deion Sanders to do. The same ones running their mouth. Do you think Umar Johnson lives in the inner cities of Philadelphia? Do you think Umar Johnson lives in the hood? I could be wrong. Maybe he does. But look at the rappers that come back to their community. Many times because they have not been recalibrated, they have not been reconditioned, many times they lose their lives. It was dangerous for Deion Sanders to be in Jackson, Mississippi, to a toe amputee. And a young man, I think they said there was a murder, a young man was murdered on Jackson State's campus. Until you have order, structure, and balance with the leadership of men leading and guiding those homes, then you're not going to have a community. And it's sad that that Umar Johnson don't see that, being a psychologist and being a doctor. That's a little shocking. He should understand how system theories work.
Before. It's pretty crazy what he did to put them on the map. Obviously, he's taken a lot of his players with him to head to Colorado, and we'll see how that goes. That's going to be a very interesting thing to keep our eyes on over the next couple years, to see the type of recruits he can get to Colorado, to see the type of game plan they can get there, the type of performances they can get out of them. But surely, some people not very happy that Deion Sanders left Jackson State. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.
How can we have 60,000 people in the darn stadium? You talking about we sold out, and I checked the receipts and we done sold 28,000 tickets. Now y'all better find out who's stealing, because that affects my pocket.
What's up, family? Well. The truth is slowly coming out as to what.
And see, Willie D contested Deion at one point, but now Willie D is actually agreeing with what Deion Sanders did. You know, he really came to, he said, I see why he left. But y'all listen to me what y'all think.
Deion Sanders left Jackson State. One could say it was about the money. I'll take it a little further than that. It's always about the money. But principle is at the root of this, I do believe. Fam, when this first happened, I said that I can't take nothing from Deion. Can't take nothing away from Deion. Deion has always been a solid dude. He gave Jackson State 3 years, turned the program around, got him 27-5. Left undefeated, can't do nothing but applaud that. Got to be thankful for what he gave him. However, I said I would have liked to see him stay another 3 years perhaps. I mean, if he did that in 3 years, imagine what he would do in 6 years, 10 years, whatever. So that was my personal wish and my personal disappointment. However, I understand, fam, and I did say that we don't know what kind of conversations was going on behind closed doors. We don't know some of the things that Deion had. Well, we knew some of the things that he had to deal with, but we didn't know all the things that he was dealing with behind closed doors. Because I could tell when Deion was talking a lot, he was holding back on some of the things that was going on. Some of the things he did share was how they had to improve their workout facility, how they had to improve their meal program. Transportation was a struggle. The equipment, it was a lot of things that he wanted to change about the school, and he did before he left. So you can't say that he didn't love the school, he didn't love the kids, he didn't care about them at least.
Shout out to my man Top Gun. He said, "What's up with Derek Jackson for that too?" He's a snake whisperer, man. I'm gonna do a show on that at some point too, man. So stay tuned. He's definitely a snake whisperer. But some of these women don't believe it because they'll rather believe the lie than the truth.
You can't say that because the man uses his own money. It is being reported that he actually used his own money to improve the locker rooms, to renovate the locker rooms, to improve the meal program and other things. Hell, I saw him out there cutting grass one day. Just the head coach cutting grass. Fam, this is worse than first thought. If true.
Now, how many white Division I Power One coaches do you guys know that's outside cutting grass? If you know, let me know. But I promise you won't find white coaches from Power 5 schools cutting grass. I promise you won't. Shout out to my man Purdue for that $5 super sticker. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you, Purdue. It's been a long time seeing you, brother. Thank you for tuning in. But I promise you won't find it. Keep listening.
This is really bad. They're saying that the president of Jackson State University hindered the progress. The president was the one to stop a lot of the progress. Deion wanted to coach, they said in a Celebration Bowl game or something like that. The president said no. And some other things that he wanted to do, the president was kept fighting him on. Then they said it was somebody on the inside who stole money from the football program and diverted it to a general fund / scholarships. So, and then there's the audio of Deion talking about how they sold out, they had 60,000 people in the stadium once, and he looked at ticket sales, it's only 28,000 tickets sold. Somebody stealing. So what was he supposed to do? And then it was said in his contract that after 30,000 tickets are sold, he's supposed to get a percentage of the ticket sales. That never happened. The last minute, they tried to make a deal, give Deion $1 million to stay at Jackson State. But they wanted him to pay his staff out of the $1 million. Come on, fam. See that right there? I think that's what did it. The disrespect. That's what did it. And then Deion had they had a television program, not a program, but a television deal that the president turned down, that Deion thought was a pretty good deal for them. The president turned it down. So Deion's big thing is that, look, he was pretty much saying that they were incompetent over there. They did not know how to do good business. If they can get that TV deal, the TV deal account for a whole lot of things, man. That TV deal alone could have paid Deion's salary and then some. Could have paid his whole staff and everything. So basically, another time they played a bowl game and they took the money from the football program and divvied it up with all of the other programs at the school. And Deion said, hold on, that ain't fair. We went out there and got that money. Nobody else did that. That's our money. That's for the football program. They taking more money away from the football program. That's what did it, fam. That's what did it. And I can't blame them. I can't blame them one bit, because we're sitting here thinking like Jackson State is trying to work with them. Because again, we don't know. We're on the outside looking in. So we're thinking that, okay, damn, look like everything going good and everything moving forward. And, it looks like everybody's being cooperative, but we don't know. We don't know internally what's really going on. We don't know the extent of what's really going on. But I did tell y'all, go back and watch that video, the first video where I started talking about this stuff. I did tell y'all that I suspected there was something going on behind closed doors that he wasn't sharing with us. I get it. I get it, fam. I get it when you're giving everything you got and you're not feeling appreciated. I get it. I get it. I 100% get it now. I get it. Man, I wish Deion Sanders luck. I wish all of the players luck. the staff, the coaching staff, the faculty at JSU, because not all of the faculty is to blame for this. But I will tell you this, fam, there are key people in positions of power all throughout this country, especially at major institutions, that are wicked. And they are the reason why things are so messed up. Think about it. These HBCUs, they may not be getting billions, but even with millions of dollars in endowments, you go in and you put the right kind of people in place that understand economics, that understand business, and you put the right people in place for your media arm of the university, i.e. your television station or your radio stations, your newspapers. You put the right people in place and things start happening. But what happens is that oftentimes the wrong people are in place. And they get to a point where they settle for mediocrity. A lot of times the wrong person will be sitting up there perched all up and looking at everybody else and looking down, and they see somebody doing well and they see somebody getting a lot of credit, like Deion was getting a lot of credit, and they start getting jealous. So they start doing slick stuff to try to hinder their progress. This happens all the time, fam. This happened recently at TSU in Houston. They can't stand a good damn president. Every time they get one that look like they might be doing something.
And that's a culture of dysfunction. That's a culture of brokenness. That is a culture that's devoid of masculinity. It is a culture of hyenas. Because a lot of these men think just like the women that raised them. It's a culture of hyenas.
Let's go back it just a little bit.
Deion Sanders is a lion. He's a Leo like myself. And he's a man of principle. Now, I'm not saying that Deion maybe didn't fabricate some things. I don't know all the evidence. That's why we're having this conversation. And to you guys that disagree and think that Deion is a traitor, bring the evidence. I'm going to drop the link at some point. I'm going to drop the link and I want to hear the evidence that will more or less suggest that Deion Sanders is a traitor. Hold tight.
Here they come with some type of scandal, or they trying to figure out some kind of way to get rid of them. Because the people that are really pulling the strings at these universities, fam, they're just bad people. They're not good people. Many of them. Man. Salute to Deion, salute to everybody who helped out at Jackson State and brought attention to that college, and who also brought attention to HBCUs, because Lord knows they need all the help that they can get. They could not afford to lose somebody like Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders had everything that these kids need to be persuaded to come and play for their own. Charisma, the reputation, the respect, talent. He had the star power, right? The connections. He had all the things they needed. This is one man. He had all the things they needed to turn that university around, but also do enough so that the remnants could benefit other HBCUs, the remnants of his success. You understand what I'm saying? And they blew it. And I think it's going to be a long time before they get someone else in there who can get anywhere close to what Deion did. And that's the tragedy. No more talk.
All right, you guys see it for yourself. I see it, you guys see it. They lost a legend in Deion Sanders. But I want to challenge some of you guys' query. Shout out to my man, Sir Hill Speaks. He is the young Ryan. Sir Hill Speaks in the house. And, you know, Sir Hill Speaks is a Leo like me. Deion Sanders, Chantel Simone, you know, we got that Leo swag. But Sir Hill, if you're in the building, man, I want you to come in and add to the conversation, man. I love your commentary. Sir Hill is killing the game. And I'm going to drop the link, guys. We're going to have a conversation on tonight. I want to hear the detractors. I want to hear the pros and the cons. If you think that Deion Sanders was a traitor, I want you to provide the evidence. So here's the call-in link. I got shut down earlier for a copyright. Well, not copyright, but for a claim. But hold tight, guys. Call-in link. I'm going to drop it. I want to hear what you good brothers are thinking. Was Deion Sanders a traitor? If he was a traitor, tell me why. Shout out to my man James Turner. That's my man, you know, always showing love all the way from Chi-Town. James Turner said that movie stars like Morgan Freeman, who lives in Mississippi, has never invested in not one HBCU. Yes, sir. In the state. The issue with the dilapidation of the school is way bigger than Deion Sanders. Go Deion Sanders, go. Yes, I agree with you 1,000%, James Turner. And that's a deal right there. That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? And James Turner, because you always show love and consideration, James Turner. You are the number one sponsor of this current stream. Shout out to my man, Mr. Allen. He was the former sponsor. But thank you, James Turner, as you are the number one sponsor of this stream. Thank you, sir, for your kindness. All right, guys, the link has been dropped. Sir Hill, if you're in the house, if you want to come through, feel free to come through. Or anybody that want to have a conversation, the link has been dropped. This is a live call-in show. I would love to hear the detractors. I would love to hear the pros that say that Deion Sanders was right. I'm the ones that disagree. I will be fair to you if you be fair to me. We can have a civil and a very coaching conversation, free of ridicule, free of disrespect. The link has been dropped. Let's have a conversation, guys. What do you think about Deion Sanders leaving Jackson State for greener pastures? And did Jackson State do enough to keep Deion Sanders at the domicile in that said Jackson State? So once again, guys, the link has been dropped. This is a live call-in show. Any of you guys want to come through and chop it up, feel free to do so. Feel free to do so, guys. The link has been dropped. And let's have a conversation in this live call-in. Let's have a conversation in this live call-in. What can we learn about the Deion Sanders situation? Is this classic projection? Is this kids that more or less lack the provision and the guidance of a father? The link has been dropped, guys. I want to hear from some of you brothers. I want you guys to hit the link and come on in. And the link has been dropped. Let's have a conversation. Call in now and have a conversation as it is 24 hours after the 11 o'clock. And here's my man, Kevin C. in the house. Kevin C., how you doing, sir? How you doing, brother?
Hello, Kosher. Doggone, I didn't realize I was going to be up so quick.
Oh, yeah, man. I got that quick trigger, man. I'm like Gunsmoke.
Yeah, you caught me. You got me caught me slipping. Yeah, but first of all, shout out to Fayetteville State, HBCU. Mm-hmm. And shout out to Florida A&M, another HBCU. I went to both of them, actually.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so you know what really bothers me in all of this? I kind of expect some of the reactions that you're getting from the women. Mm-hmm. I'm very disappointed in the men. Very disappointed. And the reason I'm disappointed is that men are supposed to be able to look at other men, see what look. I'm not disregarding women and what the stuff that they have to do in the emotional aspect and all the other stuff and everything else. I'm not saying they're lesser than men, but what I'm saying is that they tend to operate and focus from a point of emotion versus logic.
Right.
Just understanding the operational environment. And if you're a man, you're looking at what Deion Sanders did, the environment that he was operating in, you're supposed to understand that as a man. Meaning that look at all the things that he had to put up with. First of all, let's talk about the negatives. The fact that he didn't get the cooperation from the JSU administration. Right. The fact that he had to deal with, personal theft 2 or 3 times. There's deceased bodies turning up on campus. Yes, there's frustration. He's got to cut the football field himself. He has to come out of his own pocket to support the program. And then he was and then even when he produced amazing results that nobody had produced the entire time in the history of that school, he was not properly compensated. Now, look, I'm not saying that they should have been able to come up with $5 million, but $3 million, 3.5, that should have been reasonable, or even 2.5, 2.5.
Well, 2.5, right?
2.5 for an HBCU. He'd have been like, you know what? They're offering me $5 million, but you know what? I'll stay a couple more years if you guys come up with $2.5 million, and then let's make sure we get all of these issues, everything I'm talking about, everything from the ticket sales that I'm supposed to get, and I don't think he wanted it for himself. I think he wanted it to go back into the football program, right? Because this really wasn't about the money initially. You can argue that he took the job at Colorado for some money, but the thing is that he was getting paid $300,000, right? And he's taking money out of his salary. Where else do you have to do that?
Right.
I understand that some people do that. We know that we regularly hear that teachers pay a few $100s for school supplies for kids who are missing things, and over throughout the school year. But they're not they're not expected to come off of the majority of their salary, half their salary, in order to cover down for what the school is providing.
Yes, sir.
So just the operational environment, and I'm real disappointed with guys like, and I'm gonna call the names out because they put it out there. Guys like Bomani Jones, I think his name is Bomani Jones. He's a commentator. The other one was Jason Whitlock. Everything I just mentioned.
I was a little disappointed in Jason, and I like Jason. I was a little disappointed in Jason. I think he meant well, but I was a little disappointed in Jason. I agree with you, man.
Yeah, everything I just mentioned, they didn't mention any of that. All they talked about was emotional. Oh well, he said this, he said that, and I'm looking at it like, yeah, but the situation changed. He produced results, and then on top of that, they completely dismissed his work, his sacrifice, and not just his work and his sacrifice, but the players. And it's very interesting. If you look at the video, there's a video of him talking to his players. And then there's another video later on where his players said, they actually understood. And literally they were practicing. They went through that whole weekend where he did his thing with Colorado, accepted the job, went out there, talked to the next team, all this other stuff. Monday morning, he's back there practicing with JSU. Mm-hmm. Is it so? And then the players, the people who have the reason to be the most angry, you have the most anger. They have the least amount of anger. They understand the situation the most. Mm-hmm. And I understand he's going to probably take about 10 or 12 players with him. We get all of that. But the bottom line is that, I'm real disappointed in what I see from grown men who should understand this situation better. And again, I'm not trying to, down women here or insult women. But, they generally operate from a more emotional perspective.
No, I understand what you're saying. I agree with you. Right.
I liked how you called this out as you were talking about this and you were explaining it. I'm not very familiar with all the psychological terms. Mm-hmm. And you're a psych. You understand that, right?
Yes,
psychology.
Yeah.
Okay. So you talked about terms like rejection, transference, this, that, and the third. And that's good stuff. And that makes sense. Everything that you're saying. So I like how you infuse that and actually provided that commentary, because it makes a lot of sense and helps us understand it better. I mean, we just know that it's bad. And I always look at things from the perspective of a black man in America, because that's how I have to operate. And here's the other thing. And this is, and I want to point to the disrespect here. And I don't want to, drone on too long here, but I'll close this out.
You're doing an excellent job. Actually, hold your point. You're doing an excellent job. Shout out to my man Top Gun for that $5 super chat. He said, big facts, Kevin C. Too much gossiping, emotional males concerned about the actions of another man. They did a good job on shaking my head. And I agree with Top Gun, man. Because I look at it from a logical perspective. Being a former teacher, I saw teachers struggle. But see, watch this, Kevin C. Women don't want struggle love, but they want Deion Sanders to give struggle love. Talk to me.
Because that's essentially what it is. It's literally that. And then on top of that, the disrespect. You know, you literally had, you know, JSU fans in the stands, or people, I don't even know if they're fans anymore, but they were in the stands saying, bye, Deion, in the middle of a game, when they should have been, at the end of the game, they should have been standing up, clapping him, applauding him, saying, hey, we're going to miss you, but thanks for everything that you've done. So here's the thing. When you're one of the better, when you're some of the better or best men in your group or race, then the idea, and this is one of the problems that I would say that we have as a collective, is that we work that guy, you know, pretty much to death, pert near to death. All right. We expect that guy to do great and amazing things to the point where we just run him ragged, and with very little help or conversation or appreciation. And the level of disrespect is actually going to play out in ways that I can guarantee you that the rest of us don't like. So Ricky Smiley, now to their credit, and I'll mention Shannon Sharp and Ricky Smiley, they came to his defense. They explained it. They actually called it out. And I don't know if you saw that. I don't know if you saw the interview.
I saw it. Yeah, I played it.
Skip Bayless sitting there playing dumb. What? Who? And all that other stuff. Anyway, but I won't get away from Skip. But Ricky Smiley gave probably the best defense of Deion's coach Prime that I've seen, and he talked about it. And in his commentary, he said, "Look, Ricky Smiley himself had a foundation. He shut it down, and the reason he shut it down was that he was not getting the appreciation based on from the people he was trying to help. He would go to these places and locations, handing out backpacks, giving out supplies, doing things, surprising people with gifts and stuff like that. And instead of getting 6 backpacks, they only got 4, and people would still be screaming and yelling at him. Lack of appreciation. So you didn't have any backpacks. You didn't get the 6 that you wanted, but you got at least 4. So that's what I could do for you. And he was still getting screamed at. That caused him to shut down his foundation. And now he only deals with certain people, certain organizations. And his litmus test is, look, if I got it, I can give it to you, or if I can help you out, I will do it. If I can show up or whatever. But if I can't, then then they just understand and go, okay, I don't have it this time, or I can't be there to support you in this particular event. But if something else comes up, hit me up, and if I can support you, I'll do that. Those people, they don't get mad, they don't get upset. They go, okay, you know what? Thank you for what you can do, but I understand you can't. I can understand you can't hook me up this time. But he's actually dismissed anybody who gives him pushback, who shows him ingratitude and stuff like that. What that causes men to do, especially black men, we're not going to fuss, fight, argue, or even protest. We're just going to go, you know what? I'm not dealing with you anymore. That's how you push your best people away. That's how you push your best men away. And I'll go ahead and stop right there.
Well, it goes back to, they don't know how to love and honor a man. They don't understand the love language of a man. The love language of a man is to honor and respect. But when you bite the hand that feeds you, when you displace your aggression instead of showing the spirit of gratitude, you'll correct and it'll definitely run men away. So your point of contention in the way you articulated that was well said, Kevin C. I'm definitely glad you popped in. But East Coast Cav, Passport OG of 1. We're going to go with East Coast Cav next. East Coast Cav, how would you like to add to the conversation, brother? Go ahead.
How you doing, brothers? Thank you for having me. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you perfect, brother. Go ahead.
Shout out to Kevin C as well. Shout out to the channel. Shout out to everyone in the chat. I'm just going to talk a little black real quick. When you have prominent black people, black men and women, brothers and sisters that are doing things for the community sincerely, you don't let dusty nonsense happen to them. And I say that because, and I said this on another panel, you don't let his car get broken into. You protect that brother or sister at all costs. You don't let stuff like that, him getting his office getting broken into, his son's car getting broken into. You don't let that type of stuff happen to a brother or sister that's prominent in the community and that's stepping back and coming back to help out, especially with the pay cut, with the pay that he was getting.
Right.
He was only getting $300,000 a year, and he wasn't even getting that because he donated a lot of that money.
Right.
You don't let that type of stuff happen. And I was hoping you were going to play the video of the reception that he got when he went to that basketball game in Colorado. Man, I was like, they were ready for him, man. He's going to do big things out there. I don't know about a championship this year, but I think he's going to have a winning record.
Yes, sir. I agree.
And also, the money that they promised him, you don't let that type of stuff happen. And as far as, and brother Kevin C, there's one more person I think you were hinting towards mentioning, Dr. Boyce Watkins was another one. Another one that came at our brother Deion Sanders with the nonsense and the hypocrisy. And I thought Mr. Finance Man, Boyce Watkins, would understand making a move like this. You know, going from 300,000 a year to 5 million. And trust me, Deion's gonna make a lot. Let me put some respect on his name. Coach Prime is gonna make a lot more money than that.
Oh yes, way more.
Endorsement deals. You got Nike and Under Armour fighting over this brother right now.
Right.
You know, but that's the main thing I wanted to say. You don't let that dusty stuff, you know, breaking in his car and robbing him and stealing from him. And this guy's going out his way, winning games. And by the way, he was coaching. He was not coaching, but he was cutting that grass while his toes were amputated.
Right.
Part of his leg was missing.
Yes, sir.
You know, he had that surgery.
Yes, sir. Right.
You know, and that's where I wanted to land my plane. I don't want to hold up the brothers. I want to hear from everyone else.
No, man. Excellent points. Excellent points to add to the conversation. And you know, East Coast Kev, I do this, man, to point out the thinking errors of so many of our people. They have many unconscious thinking errors. And it's consistent with what theologies say that in the last days they will be ungrateful, and this is the world that we live in. You can never do enough, but once again, Kevin, see, black women don't want struggle love, but they want Deion Sanders to have struggle love. Talk to me. Why is it that they can't accept struggle love, but Deion Sanders is supposed to be the sacrificial lamb for the black community? You see the hypocrisy when it comes down to.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So here's the thing with that. Mm-hmm. So men have the burden and expectation and demands of performance, right? Mm-hmm. And I hate to say this again, and it's almost like I'm apologizing when I speak on women because I know how emotional they get. But look, if a woman fails, it's like, okay, so what? So what if she does fail? There's a lot of safeguards. There's a lot of safety nets for her in ways of, you know, programs. People are going to help her. The family's going to help her. The government can help her. Even strangers. But you know, we don't get that help, not as men. We literally have the demands and expectations and burdens of performance. Mm-hmm. You either succeed or you fail, and you're on your own. Mm-hmm. That's it. Those are pretty much our options. That's it. So you got to go out there and actually produce. We have to, you know, do a whole bunch of things, you know, and there's a list of it. But I'll just say then the main thing is you have to be productive in our society, and if you're not, then you're looked down upon as a man. That's not the same with women.
Right.
So they can, you know, they look at this differently.
Oh, I totally agree, man. It's and that's the double standards that men have to go through. It's always a double standard for men. You know, enough is never enough. And maybe if the community had corralled itself around Deion Sanders and honor him and respected him at a high level by not breaking into his office, by not, I think, robbing his son or stealing from his son. I think Deion got robbed. Maybe Deion said, you know what, this school surrounded above me or got around me and I'm going to stay. But see, a lot of these communities are so dysfunctional, and some of these men that are even intellectual men are the byproducts of single parent homes. No disrespect to single mothers, but they think like women. They don't think like men. They don't think based on principle. They think based on feelings and emotions. And when it does, it makes them become unconscious simps. Passport OG, how would you like to add to the conversation, sir?
So thanks for having me up. So I want to talk about just the football business part of it.
Right.
What Deion Sanders did in those 3 years at Jackson State is a borderline miracle. We have never seen. We've seen college game day, go to like Grambling Southern for, you know, the Bayou Classic, but like to have them there for Jackson State because of Deion. And so on 3 years, he gave them 3 years to basically get up to speed with the guys he's competing against. And make no mistake about it, he's competing against Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart. He's got to recruit Gwinnett County. He's got to recruit Atlanta. He's got to recruit South Florida. You cannot recruit those guys on social media hype. You got to have facilities because they're going to walk into your school and going to take a look around. He got Travis Hunter on social media hype. He said there's something special. He can't keep doing that if you have subpar facilities, if you have, you know, administrators playing around with money and stuff like that. The coach cutting the grass.
If you don't have water in the city, if you don't have running water,
it's like whoa. Like let me just go over here to Georgia because I know I'm going to be on national TV 3 or 4 times and I'm going to get a good look at the pros. He can sell that dream for, a couple of years, but Jackson State, they got to hold a bit in the bargain. That they had 3 years to get those facilities up to snuff. They missed the shot at it. They're not going to get that shot again.
Right.
Believe you me, they had a once in a generation type opportunity to turn that school into darn near Division I competitor, and they missed their shot. They missed their shot big time.
Right. Big time. Right.
They missed it. They missed a big. He was a year and a half into his coaching at Jackson State, and you have people at Florida State mad. Like, why didn't you hire him? So you know that Deion's not going to be there that long, especially at 30,000.
Right.
He has to walk into a living room and say, "Don't go play for Kirby Smart, play for me because," and he's got to fill out the rest of that. And if Jackson State is not going to support him, he's got to go somewhere that is, because he can't keep pulling miracles with one hand tied behind his back.
Right. And I think that's why a lot of the white coaches, the PWIs, got so upset. They was like, "How is this black coach able to pull a black athlete, the number one player in the country, from Alabama to Jackson State?" And now they're saying that Deion Sanders got a 5-star receiver that was going to Texas A&M, and he's going to flip him. But see, we didn't talk about something. One of the guys' name was Daryl, I think Daryl Yancey or Daryl somebody, Vincent Yancey or whatever. And he was a football coach, Vincent Yancey. And he was the football coach at Mississippi Valley State. And he got flipped, and he's going with Coach Prime. What do you guys take on that?
I think that they see that a rocket is getting ready to take off, and he's a star maker. I mean, you go to Colorado, you go 8-4, and you make a New Year's Bowl game, you're going to have coaches calling you. Heck, he's going to have players calling him from other schools like, "Hey, Deion, I want a piece of it." He already got a Alabama 5-star recruit that's, I think, he's a backup or something, already reached out to
as a running back.
Yeah,
he already reached out to him. Running back,
like, They know what's going on there. Like, wouldn't you? I would.
That's what OG. And you know what else? I'm sorry, but you know what else? You haven't seen nothing yet. This is just 1 week. We still got another 6-7 months.
Yes, sir. Right. And that's why I said in about 5 years, he might flip it, guys. Listen, I'm not going to say he's going to win a national championship in 5. Listen, Deion could win a national championship within 3 years. And I know it sounds crazy, but with the brain power that he got, Mike Zimmerman is going to be the defensive coach. Remember, Mike Zimmerman, guys, was the football coach at with the Minnesota Vikings. So who's to say that he can't flip it and take it to a whole nother level? But go ahead, Kevin. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the other thing too is JSU, and not even just JSU, but all these big time celebrities, they fumbled the bag. Now, look, I understand that everybody can't come off a lot of money, and even I kind of get on myself with my spotty record as far as what do you call it? Giving back to HBCUs and stuff like that. One of the things I try to do is it's kind of a way to do it. Like, for example, if you can't give money, give time. If you can't give time, give money. There's just ways to kind of give back, right? And when incidents and stuff comes up, like when they had that Jackson water situation and they were out of water, I said, you know what? Let me find a credible person that's down there actually helping out. And there's a guy, he's been in like several different situations, in emergency situations when they didn't have water. I put $1,000 down. I said, you know what? Hopefully this helps out. But, the thing is that we had a lot of celebrities miss this opportunity. And you literally, again, you had the white guy come up. And I hate that white people are doing it. I mean, it's good that they're doing it, but I hate that they're doing it because it really should be black people advocating and actually putting pressure on other people. But he said, hey, I got it on good word and authority. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he can't give sources, but he's calling out big names, and he dropped LeBron James. So, if this guy's saying it, and then you already see what but Coach Prime was doing himself, he was contacting Gatorade and Walmart, and US Airways, and all his other celebrity friends. He had, people popping up at games. I saw Terrell Owens out there. I saw, who the Snoop Dogg came out there. Stephen A. came out there. Stephen A. Smith, came out there. All of these folks. And look, I know they can't give millions of dollars, but 20,000 here and there, that stuff adds up. I'm actually upset that we couldn't figure out a way to come up with like at least $2.5, $3 million to at least counter the offer from Colorado State. You know, we can say a lot about white folks, and I don't want to make this too racial. But you know what? When they want something, they pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the bottom line.
Exactly.
They pay to have him there.
Right.
They're like, look, we already know that you're coming from. We already know that your situation financially. We done already checked the books, and you don't think that white folks don't know the history of HBCUs, financial mismanagement, what's going on, the water situation. They're like, it probably wasn't too hard for them to convince Coach Prime to come. The only controversy that they have is, look, we don't have the $5 million yet, but you know what? They're gonna get that $5 million.
Right.
They're gonna get that $5 million in the next 5-6 months.
They're gonna get that $5 million in some.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
that's gonna happen.
I think they had to say. I think Deion would have stayed for 1.5 mil, man.
Exactly. That's
more than that. I think he would have stayed for 1.5.
Yeah, we could have got 2, maybe 3 more years. But I mean, I think at least 2.5, $3 million is decent for a $5 million offer a year. And then, and more than anything, he was trying to actually get his people paid. He's like, look, I'm good. The internet says he's got $45 million net worth. You know what? Here's the thing. I'm arguing. It's funny because I'm defending obviously Coach Prime, but I'm arguing with people back and forth. People are like, well, he's worth $45 million. So he's supposed to come out of his pocket for a football program that he volunteered to coach. Oh, we're supposed to come up with money. Let me tell you something. If Tom Brady, stopped playing and went to a school, you think he's going to have to come out of his pocket to do anything?
Right.
Imagine if Nick Saban had to do that.
Grass.
I'm going to go a step further. If Nick Saban or Tom Brady would have came to Jackson State, they would have damn made sure that that Tom Brady or would have got a lease. They would have made a way they raised $1 million a lease. Yeah. They would have went to they would have exhausted their means to make sure that he got that money. But we don't value black men until they're gone, man. They see the brilliance and the greatness, but we take them for granted, and we see them as tokens of the past instead of investing in our men and honoring them and respecting them. And that's the problem, in my opinion. The lack of respect and honor for our black men, in my opinion. Go ahead, brother.
Well, I mean, we want our work at a discount. We want the product at a discount. No, you can't. You got to pay for it. You got to pay for somebody's value, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. All right, and then if you can't pay, then at least you have to throw something out there that's competitive. That will get a guy to be like, look, I get it. I can't come up with $5 million, but I got 3. And can you give me at least 2 more, if not 3 years? I just really need to know what you can do. And then as you're doing this, we're going to continue to work to give you everything. And any problem that you come up with, you come to me first, and I'll do everything I can to solve it. Like, that's the assurances that they should have gave him. They weren't giving him that. They're like, no, we got a bunch of problems. He shouldn't be on the network or internet anywhere talking about issues and problems, because I can almost guarantee you that he went to JSU administration first. And then it just kind of bubbled up, and he's like, "Look, I gotta get this out. You got Prime's gonna be Prime, right?" So he's gonna start talking.
Yeah. That Leo swag, man. He got that swag effect. He's definitely gonna be Prime. Go ahead, brother. Exactly. How would you like to add to the conversation? Go ahead, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you perfect. Go ahead, man.
Okay, perfect. I was gonna say what I was trying to say last time when my audio went out. I have a feeling that if he does well in Colorado within the next 5 years, Florida State's going to regret not hiring him because he went to Florida State first.
I agree. I totally agree. Right.
They already regret not hiring him.
Right.
I can tell you that.
But the thing is, though, is this: we're living in this crab in the bucket BS, I call it. You gotta be miserable with the rest of us because we're miserable. We don't have money, X, Y, and Z. You gotta suffer the way that we do. Kosher clinician, you went to UNC Chapel Hill.
Yes,
Were you there when Mac Brown had the number 2 defense in the country back in the early mid-90s when we were battling Florida State?
No, I was there with Butch Davis, man. When Butch Davis had a strong
team. But you remember when Mac Brown was coaching in the early to mid-90s, right?
Yes, sir.
He went to Texas? Yes, right. So in '95, when he went to Texas, did North Carolina bicker and complain? No, they were like, "Oh, good luck at the University of Texas. Have your team. We're going to bring on our own new guy." And then what was it? A couple of years ago, when he came back from the University of Texas to North Carolina, the same thing. The University of North Carolina was like, welcome back. And that energy allowed North Carolina to darn near beat the number 1 team in the country, Clemson. Right. With Jackson State, with a lot of the HBCUs, when my mother went to Arkansas Pine Bluff, they dealt with this stuff. You're not SWAC, you're not this. And TSU, to be quite honest, it's darn near turning into a Hispanic school. A lot of my friends that went to law school are going to TSU. While I went to California, they went there. So you're dealing with that type of thing. I think we have to learn to be men in the sense that we have to pride each other and be proud of each other's successes. And we're not doing that. Mm-hmm. And you didn't see that with Deion Sanders. And in fact, you saw that they broke into his office twice. They robbed it. They break into his son's truck, and they can't say, well, it's because you were lenient on your son. What people don't tell you is the week after he came back from Colorado, what did his son do? Show up late to practice. His son didn't play that last week.
He didn't play. Absolutely. Yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm. Is Deion going to coach, or he's not going to coach the final game?
That's still up in the air. They're talking about him not coaching it, though.
Right. That's what I heard, too. They said they weren't going to allow him to coach.
See, I'm going to tell you how JSU is fumbling the bag. Not only they fumble the bag, they're fumbling the ball on actually possibly getting another coach in there. The university president, and I don't know who he is. I looked him up real quick. He did pull out a nice little, congratulations, Deion. It's on his little page and all this other stuff. Ain't nobody looking at Twitter. He needs to have a big press conference. Deion Sanders sitting right there, the school, bringing the press, all of that stuff, and give him a good send-off. Proper send-off, and say thank you for everything that you've done, going down the list of the 20 to 25 plus items that Deion has Coach Prime has accomplished while he was there, and literally wishing him luck because he hasn't done that yet. What he's essentially saying is, hey man, you need to stay, whatever. And they're not good send-off because he's letting all this backlash happen, and he could have actually shut that down, or at least shut down most of it. Right.
What it does,
that's leadership.
By him not doing that, it shows that that they're ungrateful. Deion Sanders brought ESPN Game Day. The only time I've seen major networks come to an HBCU is the Classic between Grambling and Southern. I would see that on NBC Sports every single year. He brought ESPN. Not only that, but Jackson State, I believe it is, JSU. They got a contract with Under Armour. What HBCU do you see with a big contract like that? Not to mention he went 12-0. So he also brought results.
And that's the point that I think matters the most. We're not even having this conversation if Deion Sanders did not lose 5 games in 3 years. If Deion Sanders came in the second year and he went 4-7, they would have fired him and say, you're no good coach, stick to football. Because he won the games. That's why everybody cares. That's why this is so disingenuous. This is what coaches do. They coach to win. Then they win, and then they get a better job. That's the business. That's the game.
Right. That's the business. Right. All of them do it. White coaches do it all the time.
All of them do it.
All of them do it. But all of a sudden, Deion, because he wanted to, get more black folks in the Power 5 conversation. I mean, I think what Deion did was very altruistic. He went to Jackson State. He raised the vibrations there. He put them on the map. And now he's trying to, carry the baton for more black coaches. Now, there are some, Jason Whitlock, and I like Jason Whitlock. He said that Deion Sanders was begging the white schools for whatever, but Deion Sanders didn't beg Colorado to come to Colorado, not to my knowledge. Colorado begged Deion Sanders to come to Colorado, and maybe I'm wrong.
So here's the thing with Jason Whitlock, and again, so I read his statement. He put out this nice long statement. I guess somebody did a transcript of what he said. He said we'd rather build for these white schools or white institutions versus and beg and versus building our own. He was literally there doing it. He was literally there asking for help. He was literally there asking for people to come in and do all the stuff that they should have been doing. He broadcasted his clarion call for assistance. And he expected big names to show up, and he expected at least, the locals to do what they should have, what they could do, at least as fans. And then on top of that, local businesses and other people to come in and actually, contribute to the program. Like he could have done a lot in 4 or 5 years.
Right.
And you know what? Also,
literally, people were holding him back.
And also, you saw Brady did a clothing deal with his son. I don't know if you noticed that, but I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, matter of fact, he was one of the first players, first persons he signed. Oh, well, Brady, I forget his brand, but I mean, it's Brady something. But yeah, he did that too. I mean, it's just, man, the more I learn about this, and that's the other part of it too. It's almost what needs to happen is all the negatives should have came out right at the same time, so people would. Man, it's just you see my frustration with this because I expect more from black men. I'm gonna tell you guys that I expect more from us than anybody else. All right, and I'm not saying you got to go out and be a Deion. What I'm telling you is that you do within the scope and the capabilities of what you can do and how you contribute. But what you do not do is criticize somebody who's actually one of our best and better performers.
Yes.
You cannot do it.
Yes.
That guy's doing what he's doing, or he's going to take his talents, basically to South Beach.
Hey,
right?
Brother Kev, can I add to what you said, brother? You know what? People like Dr. Umar expected him to not just coach at Jackson State. They wanted him to coach at all the HBCUs, for crying out loud. They wanted him to put the coaching on, put all the HBCUs on his back. And I'm like, you can't do that to somebody. He's just one man. I was raised up, I got country family. I was raised up that many hands make light work. You know what I'm saying? So, he's doing his part. Here's your chance to do your part. And everybody put in HBCUs could come to a Power 5 or whatever, But if everybody did their part instead of just putting it all on one man, just like they did with Colin Kaepernick, how many people really boycotted those games, But you want to put this all on one man, on Deion. He's only one man.
Well, people want everybody else to make. Well, it's the hey, you make the sacrifice while I sit back and
reap the benefit.
And I'm not saying you got to be up front and you got to martyr yourself, but do something to support the effort, and even and whatever way you can do that. It has money, time, your voice. If you're a journalist, you write up stuff. If you're an artist, you do your artwork. Just something to make it easier for the person who's out front, so they don't have to be up all night and be up at 5 o'clock in the morning worrying about mowing the doggone lawn or mowing the practice field, so that way your players can actually move around. That's ridiculous.
They can't say that it can't be done, because you look in the 70s, there was an HBCU that did that and darn near won the national championship. I think they did win the national championship. Florida A&M, I think it is, the Rattlers.
Yeah. And A&M was hot in the 70s.
Yeah, they were extremely hot in the 70s.
The coach's name, but yeah, they had a long run in the 1970s. They were hot.
So it shows that it could be done.
And by the way, A&M is hot right now. Coach Willie Simmons, 9-2. The person he lost to was Coach Prime, 9-2 for the season.
And Mac Brown, they lost to Carolina this year too.
Willie Simmons, Florida A&M,
right, Florida A&M, right. True indeed. Go ahead. We're gonna end the stream in a minute, guys. It's been a great stream, but go ahead, guys. Who's next, real quick? Anybody else want to say anything? See Passport OG.
Well, I was just gonna say that I think that Jackson State has about 2 more weeks of relevance.
Right.
So make all the noise now, because what's the opposite of love is not hate. It's apathy.
It's indifference.
It's indifference. So people are not going to go back to saying, "Oh, Jackson State has a football program still." They're not going to. And there's the funny part: those folks in Colorado, they know their own borrowed time. Let Deion Sanders go in there, go 9-2 his first season.
Right.
And then let him get off to a 6-0 start the second season. They're gonna be like, y'all better enjoy this, because LSU's gonna come calling them, Texas A&M's gonna call them, Florida State's gonna call them, Miami might be called. Hey man, that's the business. Yeah. That's the business. And Deion knows it, because he was part of it on both ends as a player and now as a coach. Look, that's the business. Deal with it. And if you're gonna treat an outgoing coach this way, you're just not going to get any more good coaches coming in there. And that's a real big mistake, because the way they're kind of doo-dooing on him, no decent coach is going to want to go in there and do what he did and still get, all of that done to him on his way out. So they should at least remain professional, and that's going to hurt that. That's going to hurt the program. It might kill the program, to be honest with you.
Right. And that's, once again, when you don't value the people you need to value, sadly, guys, that's what happens. East Coast Kev, we're going to sign off in a minute, brother. It's been another great show. Thank you guys for tuning in once again as we bring it to you live from the greatest state in the Union, the Tar Heel State. East Coast Cav, what else would you like to say, brother, before we add the stream? You are KC.
Yeah, just in closing, man, I really appreciate you brothers having me up here.
Yes, sir.
You know, another classic stream by yourself. And like I said, I'm happy for Coach Prime. I followed him since I was a kid.
Yes,
you know, I thought he was, man, I didn't even think he was from this planet, man. The stuff that he did on the field and in baseball and everything, played for my Yankees. So shout out to you brothers, man. I really appreciate listening to the OGs, and safe travels out there. I'm dropping off.
No doubt. Much love and respect. Thank you, young man. All right.
Hey, I'll go ahead and finish up with this also, Coach. Is that so? Look, and this is away from Coach Prime, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Look, if you're in charge at an HBCU and you're handling money, and you're getting those positions, leadership, university president, finance department, what do you call it, scholarships, and just, that whole thing as it relates to talking how do they do it, the student loans and everything else, we got to get that right. HBCUs, for whatever reason, have a reputation, and it's not a good one. It's a bad reputation of mismanaging finances. And, it happened when I saw it at, my school. And then you see it, it goes, it happens that every 2 or 3 years, there's a scandal that comes out. Right. There's something that either the accreditation or, somebody's mismanaging funds.
Yes,
you got somebody tricking off the money and just, going on lavish trips and living high off the hog off of everybody else's money. And then the other thing too is, and this is where I put pressure on the politicians. Look, everybody always talks about HBCUs underfunded. They don't have this. They don't have. You know what? That's not by accident. It's by design. HBCUs came on board in the late 1800s. They've been underfunded from the beginning.
Right.
That is a black politician and legislator issue. All right. You'll notice that a lot of these PWIs, they don't have that problem. Now, some of them do, but the overwhelming majority do not. Right. So that points to a political issue. That's not a Coach Prime issue. That's not a student issue. That's not this, that, and this. It's almost as if black people are supposed to expected to just operate, at a deficit where everybody else gets what they're supposed to get. Right. That is a black politician issue. And if we have politicians that it goes back to, if they're not doing what they're supposed to do as it relates to running these cities, running these towns, and doing what they're supposed to do, and while they're in their position, get them out of position and put in somebody who will do the job, the thing that they're supposed to do. I'm tired of hearing about how we're underfunded everywhere. Education, HBCUs, economic investment. That's their fight. This idea that we don't know what's going on. So I know I'm getting away from football a little bit, but that's another part of it as it relates to HBCUs and just overall quality of life and what we're supposed to be getting. We're taxpayers, and those taxes are supposed to go back into our communities. And they're supposed to be fighting and advocating on our behalf. And then we haven't had that in decades. And that's why, people mention, they're underfunded these schools. Okay, well then fix it.
Well, it's funny you say this, and we're going about the end. When I was at NCCU before I went to UNC, Chancellor Ammons was from. I think he was from Florida A&M, or he went back to Florida A&M. But he was the chancellor at North Carolina Central for a while. He did a lot of good for the school. But on his way out, there were issues with money management or misappropriation of funds. And sometimes these black dignitaries act like some of these African despots or some of these African aristocrats that you see in some of these foreign,
like in Equatorial Guinea, where they're taking all the money and not giving it to the people.
Right. You see the
taking all that oil money. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah,
you see the same pattern over and over again, where they get caught up in greed and hubris, and they forget the mission of the people. And I think Deion Sanders did more than serve, unless I'm missing something. How many coaches?
He did more than what anybody could have expected, and then some. And then some. Right. My issue is the lack of appreciation and the disrespect on the way out the door. Mm-hmm. They're not setting him up for him to possibly come back, or not even that, just anybody else to come in there. Right. Again, hey, black men are not stupid. We pay attention. We watch everything. We see it all.
And the good thing I love about him, at one point I was like, wow, man, he got Travis Hunter to come to Jackson State, and now he's about to leave. But, he didn't leave him hanging. Travis Hunter is going to Deion Sanders at Jackson State. Because, Travis Hunter did. Jackson State got the #1 football recruit in the country.
Yeah.
What does that say about the power of persuasion of black coaches and how a lot of these black boys want to play for black coaches, man?
Absolutely.
They will love to play for
it's 65 to 70% black players anywhere you go.
Right. NFL and in college. And it's time that we have more coaches, more black coaches, because Deion said in the SWAC, he said some of these coaches could coach a Power 5 school, just like with the Carolina Panthers. I think they should give Steve Wilkes that job. I think Steve Wilkes is competent enough to be the head football coach, but Tepper said that if he does do a superior job, but yet you hired the football coach in Matt Rule that never had no NFL experience.
Yeah,
he didn't have to be fantastic, but here's Steve Wilkes that was on a championship-winning Panther football team, and he got to be damn near perfect. So, black men, we understand the road that we got to travel. We got to always be better than average, and it is what it is. But I would love to see Deion Sanders take Colorado, put Colorado on the map, and then go to the school of his choice and become a national coach of the year and build a dynasty. Man, I would love to see him.
Absolutely.
Shame Alabama.
We wish him luck everywhere he goes.
Right.
Let prime be prime.
That prime, no doubt. Well, listen, guys, we're about to sign off. It's been another great one, guys. I appreciate it. I think I played too much of the stream earlier with CBS. It's been a good show. Yeah, I got to get this computer fixed. Actually, I got a new machine. But anyway, guys, been a good show. You guys get y'all some rest, and I will see you guys soon. I got another couple of classes coming up soon. And brothers, y'all take care of yourself. Get your rest, get your exercise, get your sleep, drink plenty of water, and don't be another casualty to your own ignorance. So anyway, guys, about to sign off. This has been another great classic. See you guys next time. Be well. Traitor. Out of 100 votes, 96% said that he's not. So it's more than safe to say that Deion Sanders did the right thing. Been another good classic, guys. See you guys soon. Be well. Fire for your mind.